Okay, good morning, everyone. I am so excited to talk about this today with my associate coach, Lesley Myrick. How are you today, Lesley?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Nancy. How are you?
Good. I think this is one that so many people struggle with, which I say almost at the beginning of every video, because obviously we pick, topics that we think people struggle with so we can help them. One of the things that designers have struggled with forever is how to stand out from other interior designers, right? You're all creative. You all
Yeah,
can
we all
make
make
beautiful
beautiful rooms.
spaces.
hmm
Yeah. So what makes you different?
That's such a good question because I think our instinct is to be like, well, we create beautiful, functional, lovely spaces, like, and we all
That you're
do.
going to love to live in with your family,
Yes.
right? It's all very generic.
Yep. And what I have landed on, and I've had several niches or niches throughout the years. And where I'm at right now is my niche. Who I really serve, what sets me apart is I serve high achieving professional families and I'm designing forever homes, which I honestly hate that term, but it is the most accurate for what I do. And it makes a
Yes.
lot of sense. So
Yes.
I know that my ideal client and what sets me apart is I work specifically with families with, kids that are usually high elementary, middle school, early high school. The parents, the families want those last few years with their kids at home to be in a wonderful family centric space, and they want the home to be there when their grandkids come. I'm doing a project right now where their daughter is 3, and we are literally planning ahead for when she comes to visit with her children one day. So for me,
What?
that's how I stand out. I am also a mom. I have a family. I live the same lifestyle. So that's worked really well for me.
It's important for designers to understand, and I love that. And you used to have bust out of boring because you had very colorful design. So you've
Mhm.
always had a niche that could distinguish you besides your look. Your look distinguishes you too,
Yeah.
right? So there's so many ways to stand out as a designer. Like I want people to realize it can be your design aesthetic.
Mhm.
It could be your personal aesthetic that also matches your design aesthetic, right? It could be who your ideal client is. You're getting very specific, right? So I always say niche is rich and broad is broke. That's the New York way of saying it. Niche, right? But niche is rich and broad is broke. How can every designer niche down to make themselves memorable and different from their cohorts in their area so that people get to know who they are and want to hire them, right? They may like, again, the process you have maybe, or
Mhm.
maybe you have a service model that's different from other designers that actually works better for your ideal client. There's so many ways to distinguish yourself. And I think you hit on almost all of them.
Well, and I'll tell you too, you mentioned bust out of boring. That was kind of my former tagline and what I was doing a few years ago. And my work still resonates with that, even though I'm not using that language as often anymore.
Yes.
But you mentioned standing out because of an aesthetic. So when I lived in Waco, Texas, which as any designer following knows is the land of white shiplap and very plain but lovely designs, I would introduce myself as I'm Lesley Myrick. I'm an interior designer on a mission to banish beige from Waco, Texas. And
I
people
love
loved
that.
it and always got a laugh, and it was memorable because they could tell from me and my aesthetic and my appearance, I'm not that person. And you're right, niche is rich and broad is broke. I was not going to attract the clients who wanted that look. I was attracting the people who were like, thank goodness you're here because I'm dying for some color.
Yes. Yes. And I think even when I was doing art framing and accessories as a niche within the interior design industry, guess what? I was the niche. I
hmm
went into people's houses. If they needed art, framing, or accessories, they would then go, hey, wait, I really like you. I like your process. You're efficient. Can you also do these other things? Right. So if you're going into someone's home based on a specific service, maybe you specialize in kitchen and baths, but you know how to do everything else. You love kitchen and baths, niche down to kitchen and baths. Perhaps you're into sustainable finishes, sustainable green, whatever you're into,
hmm
go bold with it.
Yeah.
And I know that's so frightening for people because once you go bold, you go, well, no one else is ever going to hire me then. Like, what if I can also do other things? But here's what happens when you are clear in your messaging to who you're speaking to, what you're speaking about, and what you're trying to relay about your business, about your aesthetic, about your ideal niche. You're talking very clearly because you're clear. When you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
I love that phrase, and it's so true. We try to be
So true.
safe. I can do full service, I can do kitchens, I can do any style you want, and you know who's gonna resonate with that? Nobody. But
Nobody.
the person who wants what you have to offer, they are a family looking for a forever home because they're and then they find me and they're like, "That's the designer for me," and it's totally clear. I think it's so important that you and your message either attract or repel, and people are scared of that. They don't wanna repel people. But I don't want people coming to my
Yes.
website that don't want what I have to offer. And they'll just quietly excuse themselves, and it's fine. But the people who are in line with me and my aesthetic and my vibe and what I'm doing, it's a click. They get
Yeah.
it right away. They get me and they want more.
Right. When it's like when I rolled out as a business coach, I thought I can coach any service-based business. So who needs coaching? Nothing. I got, basically nothing came my way. And then I thought, wait a minute. I I know niche is rich and broad is broke. Why don't I go in the community that I'm already well known to interior designers, which is sort of my intention, but I thought, oh, they would just flock to me when I say I'm a business coach. As soon as I said I'm a business coach to interior designers, that's when people get the vision. You know what? I want a coach who understands the interior design industry,
Yes.
right? I know I can coach other service-based industries, but they don't. And it doesn't speak to them if I just go, if you're a service-based industry, I can coach you, right? So if you're an interior designer, I can help you. Yeah, but who do you want to attract? It's
Yeah.
so important. So I love your aesthetic and what you're attracting, because every single one of your blogs, your posts, your emails, your everything that you're putting out there is talking directly to your ideal client. And if someone else calls you, which by the way, this is a really important thing for people to understand, you get your messaging right, even people who are not in your ideal bucket will be so impressed. They'll go, I know you work with families, high achieving families, and we're just a new couple getting married. We're not there yet, but we love you and we love your messaging because you're clear and concise and you're attractive to so many. Right.
Yeah.
So you could be marketing directly to bachelors, bachelorettes, seniors, whatever, any population. Then you could also niche down to any style,
Hmm.
right? There's just so many ways. So I don't want people to get stuck on this. I know you've worked with Rachel Bozick to say, what's your branding? How did she pull out your special sauce?
You know what was interesting? And she talked about this at Luann Live is this idea of like you and your life is like a big pot, and there's all the little bits of you in your story. And she's really great at helping you pull out little bits and putting them together. There are things now in my bio, in my copy that like I never thought were, I wouldn't have thought to share that. Like, for example, my grandma was an oil painter. And what was my grandma to do with it? Well, art is in my genes. This is something
Yeah.
that's always been important to me. So things like that help sort of frame me as who I want to present as. And we all have those special things. We've all got stuff that we are sitting on. We're sitting on gold, like she says, Rachel says, and we don't even realize it. So I think it can be helpful to do this kind of thing with someone who knows you well, a friend, a partner, and just sort of talk about your life, your story. Who knows what part of you, your history, your story, your family, your life, your adventures comes into play. And you probably have more in common with your ideal clients than you realize. Like my ideal clients are often art collectors. And not like, fancy schmancy art collectors, but like when they're traveling, they're buying local original art. They want that in their home. So these
Yes.
are connection points that I'm able to have to further niche down and say, hey, I'm also someone who likes and values original art. I understand you. I'm the right designer for you.
Yes. Yes. And the starting point where we get people is start with your business in words. It
Yes.
is my exercise called Your Business in Words. It's the first podcast I did on Luann, I think. Oh no, maybe
Mhm.
I did Niche is Rich and Broad is Broke, and I'm
You
not
did
sure.
Niche is Rich because then when I went on Luann's podcast, I referred back to you because that was such a strong message. Niche is rich and broad is broke.
Yes. And I still sing that from the rooftops. You have to try to get specific
Mhm.
um, in your offerings, in who you are, in your vision, and the starting point, and really the beginning of a branding process for someone who's never really gotten in touch with their branding process is to do your elevator pitch, which everyone hates to do. So we call it Your Business in Words. It's only 4 sentences. It's a free exercise that we have for everyone to just grab and do. it's quick, seems like it's easy, but then when people actually do it, they're like, wait a minute, they get stuck sometimes, right?
And
Describing,
they start very generic.
yes, I'm creative.
I'm a
I like
creative
making
and
pretty
passionate
things.
interior designer. It's like, well, no shit, we all are. Like, what
Right.
else? Go deeper than that.
Yes, it's so true. So I always say pick 3 adjectives that describe who you are.
Mhm.
Then the next sentence is who you serve. Try to be specific, who you serve.
Mhm.
And then how do you serve them? What is your process? And you would think that every designer would have that same third sentence, but they don't, because you perceive your process differently from your perspective, and you are laying it out for your client in one sentence. That's your third sentence. And then the excitement you feel when you do what you do with your client and they're so happy, right? So it's 4 sentences, but it's the beginning of understanding your elevator pitch, yourself, your business, and what you're offering and to whom. So I'm going to tell everybody, if you have not done your business in words, the exercise that I put out years ago and is still one of our, I think it might be our top download.
It's so good.
Well, that always shocks me when we have the profitability analyzer and all these other things that are great too. But your business in words, go download it. We're giving you the link. It's a free exercise. It's 4 sentences. Start understanding who you are to your clients, to your ideal client, so you can start putting the right messaging out there to attract who you're supposed to attract. Did I forget anything?
No, I think that's great. And I think one thing I want to share about that is your business in words written out is a great thing to use as your formal bio on your website. You can shorten it a little bit as your social media bios. And one thing I want to share too is it can be awkward to speak it because it's written. So use it as a framework and figure out how you can say it in conversation and have it sound natural. Don't just feel like, well, this feels weird. I'm the most organized, efficient, and blah, blah, blah interior designer, because that doesn't sound good in conversation.
Right.
Use this as a framework to talk about what makes you different and learn how to speak those words in conversation. So, you've said this before, Nancy. If you go to someone and say, hi, what do you do? Oh, I'm an interior designer. They have an idea of what that is, and that doesn't mean it's what you do. And that's so generic. I'm an interior designer.
Yeah.
So
But if
what?
you said, I am a really enthusiastic, knowledgeable kitchen and bath designer, what is that person going to say? Oh, really? That's amazing. That's so fascinating. Yeah, I help who do what, right? And it's conversational. So the Your Business in Words exercise can be standing in the front of a networking room and just delivering your elevator pitch, which is what you're meant to do when you're at a networking event like that. Or like you're saying, roll it out one sentence at a time in conversation where appropriate. It gives you the confidence to have that conversation, and it keeps the other person interested.
Yes.
Instead of just going, oh, I wish I could afford you. Oh, that must be a fun job. Oh, I always wanted to be an interior designer, right? They do all
We've
that.
all had these conversations that are so generic and they don't get you anywhere and they're not memorable. You want to be memorable. That's how you stand out in a crowded market, is by being different. And it's funny because we all simultaneously want to stand out, but we're also afraid to.
Yeah, we
We're
all want to
afraid to be
blend in
different.
at the same time, right? So there are
Yeah.
times where I will tell you, you are the CEO of your business. You're the only one in charge of bringing business in. So if you are not finding a way to stand out in a barbecue, if you're looking to fill your pipeline at a networking event or at any party, anytime you're talking to anyone, you are the face of your business. So be prepared to discuss it proudly. And even as an introvert, you're an introvert. People don't know that. So Your Business in Words gives you that framework to feel more comfortable talking to people about yourself in a non-bragging way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone, go click the link and download Your Business in Words and check it out. And if you post it in my Facebook group, the Interior Design Business Forum, and tag me, I might just make a comment or two about Your Business in Words. Never know. Okay.
Yes.
All right, everyone, go have a great day and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Lesley.
Bye, everyone.